If you get into professional wrestling, you want to become a champion. We hear that all the time, and I suppose it's true from both angles. It's a great personal achievement, and from a story point of view, your stock just rose. The fans are now going to see you as a bigger deal. What's weird is that sometimes folk just give these titles away. They decide it's too much of a burden, or there's something else they'd like to go and do, so that's what they go and do. And it always feels like somebody should have beaten them, but no. And then other times they just throw them on the ground. Let's find out why. Number 10, Scott Hall's WCW TV title. I mean, a lot of this is just World Championship Wrestling. Some of the stuff they did was nuts, and remember, there's a reason they died. It wasn't by fluke. They made some very mad decisions. You can see that at Mayhem 1999 when it was meant to be Scott Hall versus Rick Steiner for the TV title. Steiner then no-showed, so Hall got that belt, and as he was also the US champion, he offered up a challenge. Anyone right now can fight for these championships. Booker T accepted before getting screwed by the group known as Creative Control. That's right, that's what they called. My gosh. A week later though, Scott decided it was too hard to have both titles, so just gave the TV version to his friend Kevin Nash. The problem was, Big Kev didn't want it either, so they quite literally threw it in the bin. WCW was fine with this as well because who cares? Don't worry about the fact that Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, among others, had held this championship at some point. And yes, this was also when Hacksaw Jim Duggan found it in the trash, and because he took ownership of it, he was allowed to defend it. So think of that one again. There's many reasons WCW fell off a cliff, and I believe this was one of them. Number 9, Rhino in the ECW heavyweight title. When ECW closed in 2001, Rhino was both the world and TV champions. I mean, that was just cool. In 2006, WWE then decided they were going to try and fire up this brand again, so they made contact with the Man-Beast, who at the time just so happened to be in TNA. As luck would have it, TNA were actually going to run the old ECW arena as this was going on, and after Rhino defeated Jeff Jarrett, he revealed that he had brought the OG World ECW belt to the show. So that was nice. He then talked about the WWE offer but didn't much like the creative of it all, so to make sure everybody knew how he felt, he set fire to this object. I mean, what? Now, of course, the belt was a replica as WWE had taken ownership of all the ECW possessions, but still, Rhino decided he wanted to make a splash, and he did it by hurling this into a bin and then using fire. I mean, imagine you did that in real life. You'd definitely at the very least be questioned. Number 8, Matt Cardona in the ECW World TV title. Poor ECW, man. It's like we always had to give it a kicking. This even ties into our last story. Because yes, Rhino was the last ECW TV champion, and technically was so for 22 years, until he went face-to-face with Matt Cardona. The King of the Indies was backing that name up by winning titles all over the place since his 2020 WWE release, when he faced Rhino in 2022. This was in GCW, and because Matthew wanted to continue this run, he challenged and beat the Man-Beast for the old ECW TV title. It was quite the news story based on the fact WWE still had control over that brand. Of course, Cardona knew this too. The next night, he held the thing into the bin, as he also took a shot at Paul Heyman. So he knew what he was doing, he often does. He wanted to get people talking, and they did. Even 21 years after the doors closed, people still love ECW. By this point, they likely always will. Number 7, Steve Austin in the Intercontinental title. I still remember this because I was so young and I just couldn't believe it. Steve Austin, who was doing good work as the Intercontinental Champion, decided he had bigger fish to fry and just gave up this belt. I was in shock. It was just before Stone Cold was about to explode, but he was still feuding with the Nation in 1997, who had indeed stolen his title. The Rock then decided this made him the greatest IC champion ever, and they fought at In Your House D-Generation X. Despite the Nation trying to cheat, Austin won, he was still the champ. However, because Vince McMahon already hated Steve, he rendered the result null and void because Austin had used a pickup truck, so we were going to do the rematch on Raw. Austin had already decided that he wanted to have the World Championship, so told Rocky he could just have the IC one, but not before he went to a big old river, threw the item in there, as well as some scuba gear. Now the Great One could go and retrieve it for himself. It was great TV because this time anything the Rattlesnake was doing worked, but still, he did voluntarily choose to chuck a prestigious title into the sea, basically. Only Austin could have gotten away with that. He was just too cool. Number 6, Just Incredible in the ECW World Tag Team title. It is Extreme Championship Wrestling again. Somehow this happened a lot. It was April 2000, which was a bizarre time for the promotion, as contracted WWF wrestler Taz defeated WCW contracted wrestler Mike Awesome for the ECW World title. Guess that was the OG Forbidden Door. 8 days after that, Tommy Dreamer beat Taz to secure the belt back in ECW land, when Justin Credible walked out and kicked his ass. It was a coming of age for Justin, who had left the WWF as Aldo Montoya when Paul Heyman told him he could make him a big star in ECW. That did see him become tag team champions with Lance Storm, but now Credible was ignoring all of that. He wanted world gold, so as soon as he laid out his plans, he took his tag team belt and yep, in the bin. Well, he threw it on the floor, but as this was disrespectful and the fact he went on to win the world championship, fans hated this guy. What an ungrateful asshole. So back in 2000, I suppose titles were still seen as important, because I truly believe that if you tried this today, everybody would be talking about something else in 24 hours. It's just the way that the crazy world of social media works. Number 5, Jimmy Jacobs in the IWA South Heavyweight title. Jimmy Jacobs is a legend on the independent scene. Feels like that doesn't get said enough, and he made his mark in WWE and AEW. The man has made a career out of all of this stuff in many guises. During his run as a wrestler, though, he did find himself in the news cycle after joining IWA Mid-South. He won their world title by defeating Danny Daniels in April 2005 at Blood Showers. What a name. By November, the company was struggling, however, and cancelling shows all over the place. Obviously, Jimmy was working many promotions at this time, so on another show, he cut a promo on the IWA and owner Ian Rotten, saying that he was really mad about all this. He had not been paid for promised dates, and this was the same for a lot of talent. Therefore, here it comes, he threw their title in the garbage. It confused the internet as afterwards Jacob said he was still the champion, and Rotten assured people he was still trying to sort some more events. Jimmy got punished too, in a Falls Count Anywhere match against New Jack 2 weeks later. So, I'd take this one with a pinch of salt. Number 4, Brock Lesnar in the Universal title. In 2018, fans were mad at Brock Lesnar because he was the Universal Champion, but he was never on the show. Sort of held things up as we waited for Lesnar to return, but hey, that's the deal WWE had agreed to, so more fool them. It felt like even Lesnar wanted a break after WrestleMania 34, especially as he felt like it was time for one last shot at the UFC. That should have really worked too, because Vince McMahon was desperate to crown Roman Reigns as the new guy, so do it at WrestleMania. Or not. I mean, why would you choose not to use your biggest event of the year? For you see, this was during a time where McMahon was going to push Roman regardless of the negative fan reaction, when he got cold feet. Maybe we do need to keep on trying, and therefore on the day of the show, the result was changed, Brock retains, and that man was really mad. I mean, the match itself was all over the place because even the audience just wanted this over and done with. They could tell what was going to happen, so just do it, but nope. And it's why after Brock gets to the gorilla position after this thing, he hurled the belt at Vince McMahon, and you can even see this clip online right now. And if it was a work, well damn, it is well done. Like a steak. McMahon also looks pretty surprised, and again, Brock was definitely ready for a break. And when you're mad and you're a champion, you throw a belt. Let's just face it, that is the one thing that we've established in this list. Number 3, Nikki Cross and the 24/7 title. The 24/7 belt was so weird because after a while, it was just who can run to the ring fastest and do a roll-up. Almost 100% of the time you would become the champion, whatever that meant. Somehow it lasted 3.5 years with 57 different people holding it. Then Triple H took over in 2022 and yeah, I don't think he liked this sort of thing. This was a 1-2 header as well because he turned Nikki Ash back to Nikki Cross. On the 26th of November, Cross pinned Dana Brooke for her 11th reign when she entered that trance she liked to do. Apparently the ghost in her head told her to throw the 24/7 title in the trash. And she did. She must have been on Reddit and heard what people were saying. It's actually quite funny too because she almost misses the trash can as she couldn't really look what she was doing. And really, R-Truth should have been the guy to walk away into the sunset with this belt. I mean, just let him win it one last time before he took it home. That's not what we did. It's not like anybody's talking about it now. I don't think they cared. Number 2, Shane Douglas in the NWA Heavyweight title. This was considered outrageous at the time. You'll never be able to truly understand that if you've only just started watching wrestling, but this is what belts used to mean to promotions. You treat it with respect. And hell, if you became the NWA World Champion during this era, you even had to pay a deposit to ensure you took care of the belt. So on the 27th of August 1994, a little regional company known as Eastern Championship Wrestling decided they wanted to make some noise. They were part of the NWA and therefore were charged with crowning a new champion after Ric Flair had vacated the title. It was Shane Douglas who did this after he defeated Dean Malenko, Taz, and finally Too Cold Scorpio. And afterwards, during his promo, he told the likes of Dusty Rhodes, Ricky Steamboat, and Dory Funk Jr. to kiss his ass. He then threw the championship to the floor like it was nothing. Of course, Paul Heyman was behind this, and he used it to make it clear ECW didn't care about the National Wrestling Alliance, and it was time to do something new. He wasn't kidding. They broke away from the group and of course went extreme, and they really did change the industry forever. I've already mentioned it once during this video. Without this little train that could, wrestling as we know it right now would not be the same. Number 1, Medusa in the WWF's Women's title. What else could possibly be number 1? Easily the most famous of these occasions, and a moment that caused some serious ramifications after the fact. I suppose it started in 1991 when WCW champion Ric Flair fell out with head honcho Jim Herd and went to the WWF with the World Championship Wrestling title. It kickstarted a story where the Nature Boy called himself the real world's champion. If you were a fan at the time, it blew your brain. So when the opportunity fell into Eric Bischoff's lap in 1995, he took it. It was all about Alundra Blaze 2, who had spearheaded the revival of the women's division in the WWF in 1993. She held that championship for most of her run, having matches with Bull Nakano and Bertha Faye along the way. The scene still wasn't great though, so when Blaze was offered a better deal by WCW, she took it, especially as Vince McMahon had decided he didn't much care for female wrestling anymore. Due to all of the above, Bischoff did tell the soon-to-be Medusa to bring the WWF prize she had to WCW Nitro and throw it in the bin. Literally. Blaze was understandably dubious, but this was her new boss, so she literally dropped that thing into a trash can on a Monday night, and if the war hadn't started before this, it has now. Not only did it essentially blacklist Alundra from the WWF for 20 years, but various lawsuits were coming down the pipe based on IP. It really kicked off when Scott Hall arrived a year later and basically was just Rosa Ramon, but yeah, trust me, the seeds were planted here, with the message being, you do not mess with our stuff. No many other times, titles were just thrown away for no reason. Make sure you let us know in the comments below. If you like the video, share the video, damn it, subscribe. You can also click the video on the screen for yet even more information about pro wrestling, but otherwise, my friends, I appreciate you. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time you click play and it's me. Otherwise, I don't know where you'll be, I don't know where I'll be, but I love you all the same.